Hello and welcome to this episode of Ways to Change Your Workplace with myself, Prina Shah, and I'm really happy to be talking to my friend Ravindra today. Ravindra is from another part of the world, not Australia, but he's from India. Ravindra, welcome.
Thank you, Prina. Thank you to be with you again.
Oh, it's a pleasure to talk with you. So today we're going to be talking about time blocking and why it may not be the best choice for leaders. But before we get into it, Ravindra, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you came about doing it, and why you do it, please?
So I'm a software scientist in my day job, but somehow over time, personal productivity has become a kind of vocation for me. So I myself was in very senior roles with hundreds of software developers reporting to me. It was pretty stressful in my job. So that's when I was trying out several methods of time management. And I knew they look wonderful on paper, but they are not practical. They do not help in a real hectic scenario. So, but then finally I hit a right method, which really is practical and foolproof and very comprehensive. And I implemented that and I kept enhancing it. So GTD is that method, getting things done.
Yes.
And I extended that and I call my methodology as orderly, which is totally based on GTD. So yes, I mean, this has been going on for the last 4 or 5 years. I've been promoting my method, which is based on GTD. So that's
beautiful. And I had the pleasure of talking with you last year, Ravindra. And that was on my YouTube channel. So what I'll do is I'll put those details of our last talk in the show notes as well for anyone who's listening, because that conversation was so wonderful also. Now, allowing for deep thinking, Ravindra, is a massive element for leaders. And I love the fact that you actually come from a practical perspective. You are practicing what you are preaching as well. So this is all tried and tested information that you're sharing. And no doubt you are the guinea pig yourself, and lots of your coaching clients are already applying this.
Exactly.
Leaders often time block. Can you describe what time blocking is first for our audience who may not be aware of what it is, and what your thoughts are on time blocking, please, Ravindra?
Okay. So I will briefly talk about what is time blocking. But before we go there, let me just tell you, when someone says that time blocking is a great idea, how it sounds to me. Let me tell you this. You know, I live in Mumbai and it's a coastal city, and you might wonder, and then this is the, I think, sixth populous city in the world. So people may wonder that there must be a shortage of water here. But actually, no. Mumbai gets ample water supply throughout the year. And this is thanks to massive infrastructure. There are 7 dams which keep sending water to Mumbai 24/7. And it takes 40 hours for water to reach from farthest dam to Mumbai, 40 hours. So that kind of massive infrastructure is built. And that's why this very populous city gets ample water throughout the year. Now, this is one way to solve this. Now, someone may say, if someone comes to you and say that, why are you making this whole infrastructure? You have air around you. It has hydrogen, it has oxygen. Just why not you just combine and get the water? Why are you building this whole thing? So yeah, I mean, this is how it sounds when someone says that go and implement time blocking, it will work for you. Yes, it looks great, but then it's only in the ideal and lab conditions. So expose it to the chaos of the work and hectic life, it's not going to work. So that's the point.
Yeah.
So I know many people will understand, whoever is following already time blocking or somebody wants to embrace. We will talk more about it, but so that's how it sounds to me when someone says that this works.
Interesting. And time blocking, I guess people have the best of intentions to block their time to actually get whatever done. But reality in the workplace and the chaos that you've been alluding to, that just gets in the way, and interruptions and distractions. And the higher you go up the ladder, the more you are needed as well, I imagine, right? So more distractions, more interruptions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, such methods have to work in the real world. So we'll speak more about it, but let's now get to the definition. So time blocking is a personal productivity technique.
Yeah.
And it's quite simple. You pick up a period, let's say a day or a week, and then divide into chunks of time, 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, whatever. And these time chunks or time blocks, basically what you use for is you have your tasks, assign tasks to these time blocks. And then after that, you just adhere to it, just keep following it, and it ensures that everything gets done. So that's the simplest, and probably that's all is to this method. Now, this has been quite old. Obviously, it's a pretty simple concept, and I read that Benjamin Franklin was one of the first notable users of this method. And probably he must have used pen and paper. I'm sure he has used pen and paper, but in modern incarnation, people use digital calendars. So in your calendar, you basically make the blocks and write the task in those blocks. So that's what people do nowadays. And talking about who are the poster boys, I mean, of late I've seen Cal Newport, Professor Cal Newport, who is author of Deep Work. He seems to be the current poster boy of this method, but we'll talk more about it. So yes, this is essentially the time blocking. But let's see what the proponents of time blocking methods say about it. I mean, why it helps, how it helps. So first is simple, you're planning, and you know that planning helps. So that's the first benefit, simple. The second part people talk about is there is something called as Parkinson's law. I mean, work expands to the time that you have for the work. So they say that, okay, we are just kind of setting a finite boundary. So you're not going to just wander. You'll just stay in that time and try to finish that within that given time. So that seems to be another thing. The third aspect they say is you tend to do multitasking. Now, given this single block, single task, you will stay single, you'll do single tasking than multitasking. So you will have more focus. So yeah, I mean, this is all this is all in good faith. People think will work. So which all of this makes sense, as I said before, on paper, but actually it may not. Although this thing is not said very clearly, but I know this is a real problem. People like this time blocking method because they always have fear of missing something important.
Yes.
Oh, this is very important. If I don't do it tomorrow, I'll be in trouble. So I think let me put it in calendar for tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Yeah. This is what people do.
Yeah.
So this is where they get into time blocking. And I had done that myself many years back, and it miserably fails for the reasons which we spoke and which we'll talk also more. So yes, this problem is real. I mean, all of these issues we talked about, Parkinson's law, or having being able to focus, and we should feel confident that we are taking care of all important tasks. These are all real problems. So yes, they should get solved, but we'll see the time blocking method really doesn't solve them. So why, we will see now. Mm-hmm. So the first issue with this is, I'll talk about three aspects here. The first aspect is the kind of work we are involved in. As you know, we all are involved in knowledge work.
Yeah.
And the basic nature of knowledge work is it doesn't have boundaries. There are no very clear-cut, I mean, if given a question, there is only one answer to it. It's not that. There could be multiple ways of solving it. So what it amounts to is it's very difficult to estimate the time required to do a task. And now when you're talking of time blocking, there is some implied sense that you are able to estimate how much time a task takes. And that's big problem there, because you cannot estimate that. And now let's say you do some estimation and start your work, and then you realize that you overestimated or underestimated. This whole your time block start falling apart. It's just one breaks, then this whole thing is connected, so everything starts falling. So that's one issue. The second issue is the world is changing around us all the time. I mean, talk about all leadership coaches. They continuously talk about embrace the change. Everybody talks about it. And it's right. We have to be responsive to the changes in the environment. So that also means that you plan something to do in the beginning of the week that may not hold true by end of the week, or something you start in the beginning of the day, it may not even last for tomorrow. So things keep changing around us, and we don't want to be, rather we want to be nimble and agile to be responsive to that. So we have to be flexible.
Yeah.
Now, and as you see in time blocking, we are trying to make some rigid plan. So yes, that's one issue. Now, I just wanted to, now I wanted to take the case of Cal Newport. I mean, people have made him poster boy because in his deep work book, he mentions about this method. But I'll read exact quote what he says, and then you'll realize, although he says this, I doubt he is strongly recommending that. Or even if he is recommending, we will understand the practical aspect of it. So let me just quickly go here and read that extract. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
I can say that Cal Newport is an interesting one. I know that recently he's also interviewed an author called Jenny Blake, who has written exactly about not time blocking, but giving yourself free time. So on the concept of time as well, absolutely.
Okay. So this is what he says. So we just now spoke about how things change around us, and the tasks because of overestimation, underestimation, the whole thing keeps changing. So this is what he says. On some days, you might rewrite your schedule half a dozen times. Come on, this is what I want to do all the time. Don't despair if this happens. Really? Okay. Your goal is not to stick to a given schedule at all costs. It is instead to maintain at all times a thoughtful say in what you are doing with your time going forward. Even if these decisions are reworked again and again as the day unfolds. I mean, he says you keep working on those blocks half a dozen times, that's his minimum. So he accepts that things change and you have to keep working on these blocks. So I don't see a point in just doing this rework. Now, of course, you will wonder then what is the solution? So which we'll speak anyway towards the end. So I was talking about these 2 points. There is a third point also, very important. It's us, these fallible humans. We make mistakes, we have moods, we have emotions. I mean, these also play their role when you're at work.
Yeah.
I was reading a question in Quora recently. I answered that question. So this guy says, I'm excellent at planning. I make a wonderful plan for the next day. And then I just wake up late. And then I don't know what to do with it. So it's a practical problem. He just woke up late. And now he looks at his blocks. And now he doesn't know what to do. He already missed his 4 blocks. And now he doesn't know what to do. So he has to rework. So same thing is, although this is one case and very practical case, but there are many other things. I mean, you may not feel very energetic at certain moment, but then you have you're assigned a very important task. Now that this is imposed on you, probably you will work with low efficiency because, no, come on, this is the thing I don't want to change. So again, my point is coming back to the fact that don't make such a rigid system which cannot absorb even mild shocks of changes. It just kind of, it just it just makes it brittle and just falls.
Yeah.
Break.
I'm just
So,
thinking about this, Ravindra, in relation to when I was working in corporate, and oh my gosh, there's alarm bells ringing now. So in terms of, I used to work in HR when I was working in corporate. So yes, I'm a knowledge worker, and you're completely right. So the boundaries of time of what I did used to time block, often I didn't know how long things would take. So then I'd have to add more time on and add it to another day or whatever. Things always change. Working in HR, I can absolutely say one day is not the same. You don't know what surprises are going to come your way. And then we can be our own enemies as well, time-wise as well. And me thinking, yes, I've got free will over my time. Really, I don't. Sometimes, you could have a headache, let's just say worst case scenario, or you might not be feeling well, or something else could happen in your day, which just throws you completely off course. So yes, very relatable points as to why time blocking may not be the best for everyone. Yeah.
and it can happen the other way also. I mean, you are feeling so energetic. Maybe you just had a power nap. You just woke up. You feel so fresh. Maybe had a coffee, and now you look at your time block. It says maybe have fun. So probably this is a wonderful time to do good work. But then it says have fun now. So I just go and switch on my Netflix. So,
Yeah.
so yes, it's a problem on both ends. Now, see, this we said this before, but see, Cal Newport is a different person. I'm tempted to read another interesting fact about him. If this method works for him, there is a reason. I mean, why it works. So on his website, he says this. Just a second. So we will know. I mean, what kind of person Cal Newport is. I have a lot of respect for him. But then everyone is not same. So this is what he says on his website. Given my demanding roles as a computer science professor and father, I try as much as possible to dedicate the time for writing. Accordingly, I'm harder to reach than most authors. I don't have a general purpose email address. Can you believe this? Okay. I don't use any social media. I also tend to avoid many of the extracurricular activities common to this profession. I mean, how many of us can say this without
Lucky
making...
Cal. I want to be in Cal's world one day. But yeah, it's not realistic for a lot of us. Yeah. Okay. Right.
And I make this joke about it that probably this method will work wonderfully well when machines will start ruling Earth. Yes,
Yeah.
because machines will do this fantastic time, and actually computers work exactly this way even today. So
Yeah.
so yeah. So bottom line of all these issues, what I'm talking about is, given a problem, there are always two strategies to solve. Either it is resistance or resilience. Now, resistance strategy will work well when you have control on these things, when you can change this. I mean, you have control on the whole world, the whole geopolitics, the whole viruses. Then yes, then go and use resistance strategy. But if that is not, all of us know that resilience makes the wonderful strategy. Accept these distractions, accept the realities of the world, accept the realities of our mind, and then find a way which goes through this, which will keep you productive and effective uh, by accepting these things. I mean, make your way around these. So that kind of resilience strategy can actually give you a good solution. And that takes me to the next part of my talk is then is there any method which uses resilience as the strategy to the solution? So, and that is where which I already spoke about is GTD. So that is where this getting things done by David Allen, this method shines because throughout this whole GTD methodology, the resilience has been the approach. It's all accepted. Distractions are accepted. You need a system where your mind fails you. It's not that you need some system where it's just kind of mind also can do and it's just repeating it. Not required. Let mind do what it does best. And wherever mind cannot do well, let the system help you. So that's a very nice solution. So I'll talk just four top aspects of this method, GTD. And we will see how nicely, smartly it incorporates the good features of such a resilient strategy. Now, the first aspect of GTD that I want to talk to you about is maybe it will sound totally counterintuitive to people who follow time blocking. What I'm going to say is your calendar should be sparse. I mean, they say fill your calendar. I'm saying keep your calendar sparse.
Aha.
It should have only those slots where there is sensitivity of date and time. If you miss it, you will never get it. For example, today we are meeting. If I had missed this, would I just totally miss this meeting? There was no chance. Versus, I want to read a report tomorrow at 11. Why? Is there any reason you have to read report at 11? No, I can read at 4 o'clock as well. Then don't put in calendar. So calendar is a place for putting those events which are not compromisable. For example, you have a flight. So yes, you have to just get up and go. So the problem with putting tasks which do not have time sensitivity into the calendar is that the notification comes and the best thing that you will do is just snooze it.
Yes.
You keep snoozing them and then the whole list keeps popping up every time, which is just ever growing. I mean, these are the things you have snooze. Take a decision and you just what you do is snooze another meeting or
Stressful.
another event in the calendar. So this dilutes the whole purpose of calendar. The purpose of calendar is if a notification comes, throw everything and just join whatever that is telling you. You just miss that great feature of calendar. So yes, keep your calendar sparse only for those things which are very, very time sensitive. The second aspect is make a massive to-do list. Massive in the sense, I mean, it will become massive because you are going to collect 100% of your work in it, 100%, both professional and personal. Every work, everything that you're responsible for goes into it. Make a massive to-do list. And I'm saying it is 100%, so it becomes massive, which is fine. And actually, if it becomes massive, yes, I think you're doing great. You have wonderful plans. You have great ideas to implement. So it's a good thing. Now, so this is the second part. The third part is, now people will ask, oh, it's a massive list. It's going to be mind-numbing when I look at it. Agreed. That's where we are going to do short listing. And the short listing happens at two levels. The first is at weekly level. So many times people talk about, yes, you should plan things in during your weekend and all. So these are good ideas, but then you have to put them in a nice system. Right? Those stray ideas may not work on their own. So yes, you do this weekend planning. So on a weekend, you look at your whole massive to-do list. You have to look at only once in a week. It's fine. And then shortlist a small set of tasks. Mind you, I'm not saying priority. Tasks which could be priority, but which makes a lot of sense for them. Could be top priority, could be second, P2, P3, whatever, but makes sense in coming. I will never advise that work on P1 only and not on P2, P3. I mean, they are in your list. They have some sense. I mean, you wanted them to do it for some reason. So there is no point in saying a strategy work only on P1s. Doesn't work. So yeah, irrespective of priority, what makes sense in the coming week? What's most important to you to be done in this week? So shortlist that. Now it's a smaller list. Now your week starts. Every day you look at your weekly to-do list and further make a smaller list for the day specific. I mean, for the particular day. Now this list is further small. And now you could imagine how easily you are able to focus on it. I mean, we achieved that focus part, right? Yeah. Now the last part left, the fourth point, which is people will still say that, yeah, now you give us idea about how to get a small list to work on, but still we have not attached task to the time slots. So how to do that? That part is still left. And that's where I call something like a cookie cutter approach. So you have your day like a dough, flattened dough, and some of the parts are already taken away because of calendar. So calendar has already taken away those parts. Now out of that remaining dough, you know where that exists, and you have a bunch of cookie cutters of different sizes and shapes. Now you start cutting your cookies. That is what I want to do it. Keep it flexible. Keep it flexible. I mean, you are deciding where you're going to put this small cookie cutter and where you'll put this big cookie cutter. And obviously, common sense says this, that wherever you find a big dough, why not use a big cookie cutter and cut this big cookie first? And then another one, and then the small space is left. Why not I use my small cookie cutter and get that? So essentially, you are getting the best out of your dough. You're not wasting your dough, and then you are getting a lot of cookies for yourself. And that too, because you want to make cookies of different shapes and sizes. That is the need.
Yeah.
So when I'm saying cookie of different shapes and size, I'm talking about the work that you have, the tasks that you have, which require different time and which require different energy level, attention level. So yes, you have different needs. And we are totally leaving this decision to the finally D-Day. So on your day, you're just going to decide, okay, it's 11 o'clock. Look at my list. How do I feel? How much time I have? Okay, I had 2 hours for lunch. Oh, that's a big chunk. Okay, what is in there, my list? Oh, read this report. Ah, fantastic. Looks like this is a great thing I can do now. I'm reading my report. So, so this is the flexibility that all along we are talking about. We covered, we have taken proper decisions at 2 levels so that we are very sure that we are working on the right things. There is no fear of missing those important things because it has gone through 2 levels of filtering and then it has landed up in my daily to-do list. So I'm so confident about it, and which is very important because if you are not confident about your daily to-do list, your mind is going to wander. Am I missing something? Is this the right thing I'm working on, or was there something else? So that's kind of biting your mind, and you're wasting your, you are not able to focus on your work. So all those things get addressed. And yes, I mean, with all that flexibility built in so that you take the decision in the moment. So now, yeah, so coming back to my first point, it might be this time blocking method may look easy, but it is almost like saying combine your hydrogen and oxygen.
Yeah.
You don't have that kind of lab environment all the time. You are living in a real world. So yes, you need a nice infrastructure and system and all this elaborate method that I talked about as part of GTD. But then this guarantees the solution, and then it gives you that flexibility that I talked about.
Ravindra, you made some amazing points. I think from I can speak to myself, and a lot of people may relate as well, especially when you work in an organization. We are a slave to our diaries. That Outlook calendar is our life often, yeah? So it's about rebuilding our relationship with that calendar and rebuilding our relationship with time management, I feel as well this is. And a confession to make, Ravindra, I've signed up to your emails. I've been getting them for over a year or whatever now. And I feel like organically I've been doing this myself. So I have actually, like you say, I have kept my weekly calendar sparse based on the appointments that I have. Then I have a huge to-do list, which I actually have personal as well as business, you know, and then I break it into my daily tasks. So every morning before I start my day, this is what I do from that big task. And, you know, by the end of the week, eventually we get there. Shortlisting, I'm doing it. I hadn't even considered. So your emails are filtering into my brain, all of your practical tips that you give, Ravindra. And then
Thank
the
you.
other thing you can do as well is, a bit of the other thing I would say to enhance or complement all of this kind of work is self-coaching. So I've got my self-coaching journal there. And at the end of the week, what I do, Ravindra, is I will look at that big to-do list, and then I'll actually look at what were my challenges, what were my wins, what do I want to be held accountable for next week. And then I look at that big list and I carry it over to next week. And to make it manageable for myself, because I have lots of ideas all the time, I'm using technology to help me. So my big to-do list is actually on OneNote, where I can just dump all of my
Okay.
ideas. If I'm
Sure.
on the computer or if I'm on the go, I can then, put it in, and then start to attack the week, attack the day. And I feel, since doing it this way, Ravindra, I feel at ease that once it's on my to-do list, it's also out of my head. And I think for
Exactly.
leaders or for people who have a lot of things on their plate, it's really important. Once it's on a to-do list, you're not going to forget it, but it can be taken out of your mind from that stress perspective as well, I feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. So, yeah, I think that's the best way, and this is what actually works in real world. So, yes.
Beautiful. Ravindra, that is really, really interesting and a new way of looking at time and revisiting our relationship with time and our calendars as well. I think that's a big, big lesson for me here today. Ravindra, no doubt I have talked about your email. I've got your details. I will put all of your details in the show notes. No doubt people will have questions or whatnot as well. I have one question for you before we finish. If I was to give you a magic wand, what is one way that you would change the workplace?
Okay. What I have noticed is in organizations, uh, it's basically the productivity aspect is little underrated. Uh, Let me clarify. So maybe at team and organization level, people use formal methods and tools. I mean, that's not that bad. But when it comes to personal productivity, it's quite underrated. Uh, so when you have a large project, people even have PMO offices. A team just does project management. So they ensure that the whole thing is productive and all those aspects. But once the tasks are assigned to individuals, it is left to whatever ad hoc way they want to work on. So I think this is something has to change. Organizations have to pay attention to even this aspect. I mean, once the individual has been assigned a bunch of tasks, is he using a formal method, formal system to execute them? It's quite important, and probably you will find solution. I mean, not only the person will become productive, but it may find solutions to several other aspects like burnout or even employee motivation. Probably all of these will work wonderfully well. So I think this is what I would do with my magic wand, where all organizations will pay attention to. They will try to train and coach individuals on personal productivity using formal methodologies and systems.
Brilliant. And it's much needed in the workplace. Absolutely so, because at that top level, we've got the beautiful Gantt charts, we've got the projects, we've got the project plans, we've got the PMO supporting us. However, on the ground level, when it's me who has to do whatever, I've got the challenge of everything else, coming onto me as well as my project. Because now often, is the case, Ravindra, that we do our jobs, and then on top of our jobs, we get assigned extra projects on top of business as usual.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today, Ravindra. It's
Thank you.
always a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Prina. Thanks a lot.
Until the next time, Ravindra, thank you very, very much.